righty. Well, according to my Fitbit, I haven't moved enough, and it's time for the next presentation. So I am thrilled to once again introduce Jenny Marks from Trademarks Flower Farm. She was here for us in the production risk management series. She gave an excellent talk on pricing. So really, or actually crop planning. And then in our series that we had here, our conference in Delaware County, she came in person and covered the topic of pricing and really dialing in your production based on making money. So that's another recording that we will have posted soon, but we have posted her first talk. If you haven't seen it yet, I absolutely recommend watching it. She's also going to have an in-person series this summer that she'll tell you about. She is it Clifton Park? Did I get that right?
Clifton Springs.
Clifton Springs, my goodness, I just drew a blank just now.
No, everyone mixes those two places up. It's totally fine.
And they're in wildly different parts of New York, right?
Yes, I think Clifton Park is out by Albany and we're out by Rochester area. So it's kind of funny.
Yep, completely different. But yes, so she is up there in that cold part of the state, rocking it out. So her name of her business is Trademarks Flower Farm. And she was just featured on a podcast, actually, talking about farmers markets. So this is all fresh in her mind, and we're excited to hear from her. So take it away, Jenny.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Carla, for the very sweet introduction. Like Carla said, my name is Jenny Marks, and I own Trademarks Flower Farm. When we're in the Finger Lakes region of New York, and we basically have built our entire business on farmers markets or attending one farmers market in particular. So I'm going to be talking about that today and how we found our success and some other topics. A lot of stuff is going to be mirroring what Laura said and some extra things as well, but hopefully I can talk through this whole presentation just fine. I'm experiencing a little bit of acid reflux this morning, so I have to stop and take a drink of water every now and then. Thanks for your patience, but I'm going to go on to our next slide. And if you guys have any questions, just feel free to, I don't know if you can unmute and just pop up a question, but I'm sure you can type it into the chat box and I'll check that periodically. So any questions, just let me know as we come up. So just a little bit about us and our farm before we dive into anything. I think it's important for you guys to understand where we're coming from. I think our story is pretty relatable, but I started growing flowers around 2016. Previous to that, I had worked on all kinds of farms. I grew up in agriculture. I grew veggies for a veggie CSA farm. I worked on a fruit orchard. I had worked in all different kinds of livestock farms. So a lot of agriculture, but when I moved to New York in 2015, my then boyfriend, now husband, and I purchased an abandoned farm and slowly have been renovating it and adding infrastructure as we've gone. So we had to buy our farm, buy in land that was really awful. It was all overgrown and not really suitable for growing anything on. And we've just sort of worked at it over the years and built it up to where it is today. I had a full-time job working for the government when I started my farm. So I just started growing and selling cut flowers on the side while I worked full-time. And I just slowly grew the business over a few years to the point where I could transition. And now I work on my farm full-time and have been for several years. It's great. I love it. Currently, we have just over an acre of cut flowers in production. So our farm is about 22.5 acres, but we grow really intensively on just over 1 acre for flowers. We have about 6 hoop houses and 1 heated propagation house, and we've built all of that ourselves over the last few years with the help of some great other agencies like NRCS has helped us with our hoop houses, but you can grow a ton of flowers on 1 acre and it's really doable to make a living doing it. But as far as our sales outlets go, we've done a lot over the years, but farmers market one farmer's market makes up the majority of our revenue. About 40% of our entire yearly revenue comes from sales from one farmer's market. And then we also have a CSA, we sell to florists, and we do a bunch of other smaller things. So we're pretty diversified. But today, what we're going to focus on is farmers markets. Specifically, if you aren't attending farmers markets right now, I'm going to go over how to choose one that will work for you, how to succeed and increase your sales at a farmers market, marketing, and using farmers markets as leverage for your business to succeed. There's a picture of me and my husband, Matt, and one of our dogs, Maisie, in our ranunculus tunnel. And so that's what we look like. Okay, so farmers markets, I think everybody here knows what they are. Basically, you're getting a group of farmers together to consolidate all of your efforts, marketing, finances. Everyone pretty much has a very similar, if not the same, target market. So we're all collaborating together to get those people that we know want our products in one place. Most farmers markets, they're all unique. Everyone is different, has its own, set of rules or types of vendors that they have at the market when they operate. But generally, most of them have a market manager, so somebody in charge. So if you're trying to get into a farmer's market, or if you have ideas for a farmer's market you're a part of, you can always talk directly with the market manager to make that happen. Some farmers markets have very specific growing methods or methodology that they sort of prefer in order to participate. For example, the one that we participate in, it's called the Brighton Farmers Market, and it's located just outside of Rochester, New York. They really prioritize allowing vendors into that market that are sustainable or certified organic or use regenerative agriculture farming practices. Not all markets are like that, but mine that I attend has those requirements. So when you're applying, I highly suggest doing a little bit of research to see what kind of farmers they require, just so you don't waste your time. If if you're not certified organic and the farmers market only accepts certified organic growers, don't waste your time trying to apply. And then the best thing about a farmer's market is it allows you to sell directly to the consumer, meaning that you're getting the best price for your product. You're getting retail prices, which if you're a small scale farm, which I'm assuming a lot of folks here are, you really need to be able to get the highest prices possible in order to get the revenue you need to succeed as a business. So you can see in this picture here, this is a picture of part of one of our farmers market booth setups. And we're going to be talking more about setup and display and what that has to do with sales a little bit later on. So pros with farmers markets. It is a really great way to get started if you're just starting out selling cut flowers or really anything, and you're just starting out your business. It's pretty low stress and low pressure as far as specific colors and flowers go. We sell direct to florists, and they are very specific and very demanding about the exact shade of pink that they need or the exact stem length that they're looking for. And that's all part of their business. They have clients that demand, they want all white flowers for this wedding or pink flowers for that wedding or whatever. And sometimes it can be really, really difficult to project out what kind of inventory you're going to have for them. And sometimes they want things that you just don't have, or if you have a ton of, ranunculus or zinnias blooming one week that you need to move, but they don't need them for that wedding, it can be really frustrating. Whereas for a farmer's market, all you have to do is show up with whatever you have, and it's pretty easy to sell it and get rid of it. So I love that about our farmer's market. We actually use it sort of as I don't want to say like a dumping ground, but kind of. So during the week, we have our CSA, we sell to florists, and you have a couple other outlets. And then whatever's left over at the end of the week, it's all high quality, good stuff, but we bring it to our farmers market and sell it, and our customers love everything that we have. Really, really good exposure for a new business, easy publicity. If you're a brand new business, this is a great way to get known. A farmer's market is a super public place, and it's just a good way to get your name out there. You're going to have consistent retail sales. So like I said before, you're getting the highest price possible for your product at a farmer's market. It's because you're not selling it wholesale or selling it in bulk, or not selling it to a middleman who's going to sell it to someone else. And you want to find a farmer's market that does have consistent sales. And we're going to talk about that more later. But like I talked about before, it's kind of ready-made. Your ideal audience is there waiting to buy from you. The people who go to farmers markets, the dedicated customers that go every single week, are people who are interested in buying from small local farms. And a lot of times they're interested in people who are using regenerative agriculture practices. That's not always the case with flowers. A lot of times people don't even correlate that flowers are agricultural products, which is why it's important for you to educate your customer on why they are. And most farmers markets operate on, I guess I shouldn't say most, but a lot of the good ones operate on the weekends. There are certainly really great farmers markets that happen during the week as well. But if you are starting a farming business or a side hustle, and you have a full-time job that takes up all of your time during the week, it's a great way to earn money if you attend a farmer's market on the weekend. That can also be a con. So I'm going to talk about cons now as well. I see a question in the chat box, best time to apply to markets. We're actually getting to that, so I'll come back to that question in a few minutes. So cons, are you a people person? If you're gonna go to a farmer's market, you absolutely better be, otherwise it's not gonna work out so well. I will say that 99.9% of the people that we deal with at farmers markets are absolutely wonderful and we love them. However, anytime you're dealing directly with the general public, you're gonna get a few gruff people who just don't understand what you're doing, that are gonna be rude to you. You're definitely gonna have to develop a little bit of a thicker skin. And I'm not saying that to discourage anyone, because I love my farmer's market. I love farmers markets and I highly encourage anyone to go, but it is a con for sure. Anytime you're dealing with the general public, you do need to have some patience. You absolutely have to be act a little bit like a people pleaser, have manners. And it's important that you understand you're going to have to educate the public on what you do. All the time we get people that come to our farmers market booth, and even though our farmers market requires everything that's sold at that market to be grown by the farmer who is selling it, like you can't buy in stuff and then resell it. A lot of the people who attend the farmers market don't understand that, or they don't know it. So they think that we're buying all of our flowers in and reselling them. And so we're constantly telling people, no, we grow all of these on our farm. Like it's only 30 minutes, 40 minutes away from here. Like how amazing is that? And educating people, and telling your story really helps you connect with the general public and puts your business in a position where they're more likely to buy from you. So again, a lot of farmers markets happen on weekends and you got to be there every single week. So if you have a family and your kids have soccer practice every Saturday, it's going to be really hard for you to make it to the market every single week. So just something to consider. Another thing is that weather affects sales. Can you guys see this little bar at the bottom of my computer? I don't know if I can hide this or not. Lock the taskbar. I don't know, maybe you can't see it, so I won't worry about it right now. Anyways. Let me go
I
back.
think it disappeared.
Okay, I don't know why that popped up, but
Now I see weather is all I see at the bottom.
okay,
You're
thank you,
relying on
Carla. So I don't know, I'm so bad at computers sometimes, so I saw it pop up and I was like, I don't know why this is here. Anyways, hopefully it won't come back. Another con is that you may have some competition with other vendors. One thing that I have found is a lot of veggie farmers try to grow flowers just to add some interest to their farmers market booth, or just for something else to try, which I think is great. However, a lot of people who do this flowers are not their main concern. It's not their main product. So they just don't put as much time and effort into it. And as a result, they end up selling things for really low prices, which means that your pricing is going to get undercut. This is really, really common in the flower world. Flowers are expensive, and there is a market price that you should be reflecting when you sell flowers. If you're selling at a super low price just to try to get rid of things, you're not only hurting your business because you're not going to earn the revenue that you need, you're also undercutting the industry as a whole. So do your research, make sure you're charging appropriate prices. But it can be really frustrating at a lot of farmers markets if there are other people selling flowers at a much lower price point that you are. A lot of times, the other product that I've seen at farmers markets, if you're not just a sole flower farmer, the quality is not as good. So that's good for you because you're going to be selling really high quality, beautiful flowers. So there's that. And then the last con, I mean, I'm sure there's more, but one of the main ones is that weather can affect sales. A lot of farmers markets are outside, you got your little tent, and it's a great atmosphere when it's a beautiful sunny and 70-degree day. However, there are always those times when you get high winds, storms, rain, and that can really affect sales. It's great if you can attend a market that has a really dedicated customer base, like the market I attend. There are people who religiously do their grocery shopping there every single Sunday. Our market is on a Sunday. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. So even if it does rain, we do have a dedicated customer base that comes out where we will push out sales. It may decrease sales a little bit, but for the most part, we have pretty consistent sales. So let me move on to our next one. Application processes. So often farmers markets, like I said, everyone is different, but most often the applications are accepted in winter between January and March. Some are earlier, some are later. The most important thing is if you have a farmers market in mind that you want to attend, go up to their website, see if they have that information on there. They usually do. If not, contact the market manager, which should be listed on their website, and ask for more information. That being said, during the growing season this year, attend farmers markets that you think you want to go to and ask a vendor who the market manager is or where you can find them. Go talk to them, or even ask a vendor that's there. They'll know what the application process is. So like I said, everyone is a little bit different, but in general, you need to be prepared to start applying to them like December, January, and then most markets get back to you whether you've been accepted or not in like March, April time. And all markets operate differently, but main season is usually like June through September, October, and a lot of them have extended seasons. For example, our farmers market used to operate year round, but since COVID, they've kind of done away with a lot of the winter stuff. But the market opens for early season in March and goes all the way through to almost Christmas time, but at least Thanksgiving. So I talked about this before, being aware of vendor preferences. You know, if they require people to be sustainable or organic, or if they don't care if you're just a regular old grower, or if you do IPM or conventional, whatever. But when you're applying, if you've never attended a farmer's market before, it's really important that you prove you have experience and capability to add value to their market. And a lot of people, when they're reviewing these applications, they want to know that you're going to be committed and you're going to show up every single week. They really want the vendors to be consistent because it helps add value to the market. So when you're applying, don't think about what you can get out of being at the market. Think about how you can give value to that market and to its customers, or I guess I shouldn't say customers, but farmers market attendees, shoppers. Cut flowers add a lot to a market. They're beautiful. They draw in a different crowd. It's just something new and different that you can kind of add, but always be thinking about what you can provide. And if you are brand new to farmers markets, you may have to start off with attending, lesser known or less popular markets at first to show that you have some experience when applying to bigger, really well-known farmers markets. Like there are all kinds out there. There's little ones. Like I live in a super small town and we have the smallest farmers market ever. It's cute and adorable, but it honestly just wouldn't be worth my time anymore because I've been doing this for so long. But when I first started, I went to farmers markets like that just to get the experience. So when I applied to a bigger farmers market, they saw that I had already been doing this kind of stuff and I got accepted. So don't be discouraged if you apply to some like really big popular farmers markets and you don't get in at first. Try to do some smaller ones and then, over the years, make your applications to some bigger markets. All right, I'm going to go back to the chat box real quick. Jenny Hines asks, what have you found to be the best size table to use? What brand? Better to have an expensive standout canopy over your table, more basic one. So basically, we just use two 5-foot tables, just regular foldable ones that we got from Walmart, cheapy ones, to be honest with you, and we cover them with really nice tablecloths. We don't use any patterns or anything on our tablecloths because we don't want to take away from our flowers. We put all the focus on the color of our flowers. And then we use ABC brand for our canopies. There's this other brand that a lot of people use, and I'm blanking on the name of it right now, but it's super expensive. But we got ours off Amazon. We have a backup one. And during certain times of the year, like Mother's Day, we'll set up 2 tents. Our farmers market makes a special exception for us to do that on Mother's Day. But I would say that, you want to get a high quality one because you're going to be putting it up and taking it down every single week. The cheap ones that you get from Walmart, they just fall apart. Like even ours is a pretty nice one. I think we spent like $200 on it. And we're always kind of like fixing like little nuts and bolts that fall out of it. So whatever you can find. I hope that answers your question. Carlos says, those bouquets are gorgeous. Thank you. Thank you very much. We don't actually do a lot of mixed bouquets, but when we do them, we make sure that they are really high end, like coordinating colors. We like to do color themes. Lots of color theory goes into choosing what we put into bouquets, but yeah. Okay, so for the next one, I'm going to be talking about how to choose a farmer's market. Ideally, like I said before, you might have to start off at some smaller, lesser known markets. They can still be really good places to start. But as you work your way up in experience, choosing a farmer's market that already has an existed customer base is key. Like I said about my market, there is a long-standing history of this farmer's market, and there are dedicated customers that go every single week. The only way you're really going to know that is if you do some research. Everybody has Google what the most popular farmers markets are in your area, and then actually go to them and see what it's like on sunny days, what it's like on rainy days. Are there people there walking around, or are they buying stuff? Ideally, you want to see people getting out their wallets and spending money. So go to the farmers markets and in person actually observe what's going on. Look to see if reselling is allowed. As far as my personal opinion goes, and this is only my personal opinion, I don't think that farmers markets that allow reselling are not really worth going to. They're probably not going to align with your ideal customer. Somebody who is going to buy fresh flowers every week, if they're going to spend, 20, 25, 30, or even more than that on flowers every single week, they want the best stuff. They want high quality flowers. And I guess it really depends on who your target market is, who your customer is. But a lot of markets that allow reselling, they have a lot of vendors that go to buy like leftovers from grocery stores and then try to resell it. And it just sort of like lowers the quality of the market. And you want to position your brand in a place that is worth getting top dollar for. So reselling sort of cheapens the brand. I know I'm kind of rambling about that, but that's what I'm trying to say. Talk with other vendors at the markets, see what they think about their own market that they attend. When I first started looking around the area, I asked other vendors like, hey, I'm thinking about applying to this farmer's market. I grow cut flowers. Like, what do you think? Do you like coming here? And you'd be surprised at how honest people are. Some vendors would tell you that it's an okay market. It's not great, but they're sticking it out to see, you know, what happens because it's a newer market, or others will tell you it's amazing. I love it. You should definitely apply. So again, base your, you know, what farmers markets you want to attend on who your ideal customer is. And one other tool that I highly recommend you checking out just for business in general, this is sort of like a little secret of mine, is using the USPS mailing tool that's called Every Door Direct Mail, or EDDM. So let's talk about that here. So this tool is an interactive map right on the United States Postal Service website, and it's basically used for marketing. So if you wanted to send an email blast out to a certain region for marketing purposes, you can use this to see what sort of areas or zip codes align with your ideal customer. And I've never sent it to mail anything out. Obviously that costs money for marketing and advertising. You certainly could, but I've never done it. I've never found a need to. But you can look at different mailing routes in general areas. It tells you a lot of information about the number of residential houses, the number of businesses, how many people are in that area, the average household age, the average household size, and most importantly, average household income. People who buy flowers are probably making a higher income than you would think. Flowers are a luxury product. Not everyone can afford them. You can certainly have higher price flowers and lower price flowers to make them more available to lower income families, but that's just not usually a priority of theirs. So here is just a screenshot of that tool. And you can see that, I don't know if you guys can see my little pointer, but this purple area over here where the big red dot is the area, the little mailing neighborhood that we're looking at. And you can see that the age, people aged 23 to 34 is about 14%. So you can kind of toggle on what ages align with your target market. So if like most of the people who buy flowers from you are between age, you know, 30 to 45, you can just click on that and I'll tell you the percentage. And then you can see the income level here up circled in red is about average household income is about $26,000. All right. So the next slide, this is a different area, a different neighborhood, and you can see that the income here is about $90,000 per household income. You're probably going to want to pick a farmer's market in this neighborhood rather than the other one we just toggled away from. So this is just a good tool to use for research in trying to find out where your target market actually exists. You don't have to use it just for farmers markets. If you have other sales outlets that you can use this as well to find out where you want to go to try to sell your product. All right, so any questions about that?
So last week, Jenny, we actually talked about identifying your target customer and thinking of that one ideal person. So your ideal person would probably live in one of these zip codes. And also, I know you mentioned the ages. You know, you definitely want to look at the target age of your customer. So that's really, really good information.
Yeah, and that whole thing about, you know, thinking about your ideal customer avatar is really crucial to success when you start a farmer's market business. So, or any business at all. That's like the basics of marketing. So I highly encourage you guys to do that exercise. So, okay, moving on. Succeeding at the farmer's market. Here are some basics, and a lot of this is going to mirror what Laura talked about earlier, so I'm going to kind of breeze through it since she already mentioned a lot of this information. But consistency is key. Your customers want to know that you're going to be there for them, that they can expect you to be there. You know, a lot of people don't need flowers every week, but when they do need flowers for their grandma's birthday, or their friend is in the hospital, or they had a bad week and they just need a pick-me-up, and they go to the farmer's market expecting to find flowers and you're not there, you've just lost all kinds of trust with them. They're not going to expect you to, you know, they probably aren't going to think of you next time they need flowers. So showing up consistently is really important. You want to genuinely connect with people, say hello to people walking by your farmer's market booth. Don't just sit there and stare at your cell phone. It really is, it makes you seem super unapproachable when you do that. So even if it's kind of a slow day at the market, it's so easy to just like sit there and scroll on your phone. It's not going to help your sales. Don't do it. And then accept credit cards. I know a lot of farmers are kind of set in their ways and they don't want to pay any credit card processing fees. And I don't blame you. I don't blame anyone, because we pay a lot of money in credit card processing fees every year. However, the increased sales you are going to get from accepting credit cards is going to offset that minor annoyance of paying the credit card fees so much. I mean, we do a lot of sales in credit cards that we would not get otherwise. Flowers, a lot of times, are an impulse buy. People will be walking around the market shopping for their like groceries, for veggies, and they'll see your flowers and just say, oh my God, those are beautiful. And they make an impulse buy on the spot. And a lot of people may not be planning to make that purchase, so they won't have enough cash on them. And the fact is, a lot of people just don't carry cash at all anymore. They should. We like cash because we don't have to pay credit card processing fees. But the fact of the matter is that they just don't. So it's really easy to accept credit cards using a program called Square. That's the one that we use. I'm sure there are others out there, but squareup.com. It's so easy. All you need is a cell phone, a smartphone, and you can Bluetooth a little card reader to it. Plus you get analytics, so it'll tell you exactly how much of everything that you sold and you made, which will help with planning for the next year. Jess says Venmo plus credit card for payments. Yes, Venmo is another one as well. You will have to sign up as a business account with Venmo, and you still have to pay processing fees because you're a business, but you can use Venmo as well. So thanks, Jess, for that suggestion. And then, like Laura said before, you do have to collect sales tax on cut flowers. So make sure you're set up to do that and, you know, able to remit sales tax throughout the year. So here are a little bit more advanced tips for getting more sales from the farmer's market. If any of you have ever heard, I'd love to know if anybody's heard this expression before. It's pile it high and watch it fly. I always thought this was like a really commonly known thing, but as I'm giving more presentations, I'm learning that it's not. So I learned this expression, pile it high and watch it fly, from a farmer that I used to work for a long time ago, who sold at a farmer's market and sold veggies and fruit. And basically the whole idea behind this little slogan is that you're making your display look as abundant as possible. So even if you don't have a lot of flowers, like you can see in this picture right now, like there's probably a couple hundred bouquets there. Even if you don't have a couple hundred bouquets and you just have a few, squish them all together on one table and stack those buckets from floor to ceiling. You want to have a wall of flowers. It just looks so much more abundant. And that look of abundance is really enticing to people. It looks good. Scarcity is not the vibe you want to give out. If you ever walk by somebody's farmer's market booth and they have like one crate of apples sitting there, like it doesn't really entice you to come over and talk to them. It's not that exciting unless you're like desperate for apples or something. So if you go into a grocery store, next time you guys go grocery shopping, just look around. Just stand in the produce section or the floral section, like a good grocery store, not like a crappy one, like Wegmans. Next time you guys go to Wegmans, look, you're gonna start noticing this, that all of the produce is like piled high in these like pyramids of apples and lemons, and all of their displays are packed, like everything's packed really close, tight together, just to make it look like there's rows and rows and rows of everything. The bananas are put on little shelving tiers, so it looks like there's this huge display of bananas. Like, that's what you want to be going for. It's going to entice people to come over and talk to you. It's going to be a show-stopping display. So as you sell things throughout the market, so you'll start off with however many buckets you bring. Throughout the market, you're going to be selling things out of those buckets. Keep consolidating everything so you don't just have 1 or 2 bouquets in a bucket here and there. Put all your bouquets together, like in consolidated buckets, squish them all close together so it looks really, really abundant. Something else to consider is strategic pricing. So having a low, medium, and high price product can help you sell more flowers. So we're not manipulating people here, but we are making it clear that we have flowers that come at different price points. And when you have a really high price product, for example, the only mixed bouquets that we sell are premium mixed bouquets, and those go anywhere between $25 to $55. And then all of our regular bunches of flowers are usually between $10 and $20. Having a really high priced item makes all the other things at your booth a little bit more affordable. So they're more likely to buy something in that medium price range if you have a few different price points. So I know some farmers just go and all of their flowers are $20 a bouquet or $20 a bunch or whatever. I have found that it's not only a little bit more accessible for people if you have a range of prices, but also it matters on what they're shopping for. So if there's somebody who just buys a bunch of flowers every week to put on their kitchen, they're probably going to go for that medium price product. However, if they have somebody that week that they need a gift for, like if they're somebody they know has a birthday, they're probably going to buy that higher priced mixed bouquet because they correlate how much they spend on a gift with how much they love that person. So they don't want to just get them like a cheap bouquet. They want to get them something nice. So having a range for your shoppers helps a lot for them, but also for you as well. So I don't want to go too much into that because I think there's lots of information out there on this, but if you guys have questions, feel free to ask. Actually, I think I see one in the chat. I heard that the term was coined by Danny Wegman. Oh, I did not know that. Pilot high and watch it fly. I would be surprised if that is true because this farmer who told me that was in an area where there was no Wegmans, and it was like 15 years ago when Wegmans was not very big, but maybe he did.
It must be an urban legend.
Maybe it's true. And
but they definitely embrace that ideal, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, Danny Wegman, smart guy. We should all listen to what he has to say. Another good tip is to create a guarantee. Again, my little bar at the bottom keeps popping up. So, okay, here it goes. If somebody is on the fence about buying your flowers, I usually tell them, buy this bunch today. They're going to last you a whole week. And if they don't, come back and tell me, and I will give you your money back. And the next bouquet you buy is half off. Like, people want to feel safe. They want to know that they're not going to just like buy something that's going to die the next day. So, give them a little bit of reassurance that you're actually selling them a quality product. I mean, if you are selling like 10-day-old zinnias that are going to die tomorrow, obviously don't lie to them, but make sure that people can trust you and let them know that. Say thank you. This is a really basic thing that you think would be obvious to everyone, but apparently it's not. I'm going to tell a really quick story. that is kind of funny, but I had a girl who worked for me once who is like one of my favorite people in the world. She's so sweet. She was such a hard worker, amazing person. But the first day we were at the farmer's market together, she was standing there and a woman came up and said, "These are the most beautiful flowers I've ever seen." And she just, the girl who worked for me just stood there and she nodded her head and said, "Mm-hmm." And when the woman walked away, I was like, hey, make sure you say thank you when people compliment us. Like, why didn't you say anything? And she said, well, they're not my flowers. You grew them. I didn't want to take credit away from you. So she just didn't want to like steal my credibility or something. And I was like, no, you work for me. Like, we're all the same here. But, you know, she didn't feel like her compliment was being received well. And people want to know that that you're really gracious and you're appreciative of their business. So say thank you a million times. Thank you for your business. Thank you for supporting us. We're a small local business. It's just me and my family. It's just me and 2 other employees. Or even if it's not, even if you're a bigger farm and you have like 10 employees, like just say thank you. And again, just to reiterate, your display is key. The more flowers it looks like you have, the more flowers you bring, the more flowers you will sell. So again, eliminate or emulating abundance and that wow factor. So I couldn't find a ton of pictures from other seasons, probably because I just like get busy, but these are a lot of spring flower pictures of our farmer's market booth. So as you can see, we're always piling things down on the floor. Then we have a bench that we put another row of buckets on. Then we have these tables, like a 5 or 6 foot table that we put another row of buckets for. And then we also put crates on top of the tables with flowers on top of that. And if I could set up a system at the farmer's market that was convenient enough, I would keep going. So lots and lots of flowers. Another thing to just keep in mind is color blocking. So if you have flowers with different colors or different textures, consolidating those together seems to create a really nice effect. I mean, obviously, you can make your display look however you want, be as creative as you want. You just want it to look really nice. You don't want to just throw things out there haphazardly. So we usually try to arrange things in sort of like an ombre color if we have a large range of colors, or put complementing colors together. And then you can see in this picture all the way over on the right-hand side, we have all of our eucalyptus down at the bottom. So we have all kinds of buckets of eucalyptus in one spot, then like a bunch of pink dahlias all in one spot, and then all these mixed bouquets with all this crazy texture together in another. And it just kind of makes things look a little bit neat and organized. All right. So marketing, make sure you tell people about you. That's one of the things that is just really easy to do that a lot of people, they don't feel like they want to do self-promotion, but it's important to spread the word. You can use social media, your email list. The key is to do it consistently. So every single week, whether you're using like an email list or social media, tell people, hey, we're going to be at the farmer's market this weekend and we're bringing ranunculus, tulips, narcissus, mixed bouquets. Here are beautiful pictures of what we're bringing. Come say hi. The market's also going to have this live music and food trucks. Like, just keep saying it over and over and over again every single week. A lot of times, in order for people to buy from you, they need to hear about you a bunch of times ahead. They need to know who you are before they actually commit to buying something from you. If your farmer's market has an email list, use it. Tell them to put, hey, this week we're bringing X, Y, and Z. And then creating scarcity. So this is something that sounds a little bit counterintuitive from what I was telling you before. So you want your display and everything to look as abundant as possible. However, at the same time, you need to tell them that this product is scarce. It's not going to be here forever. It's only here for a short time. So come and buy it now. growing seasonal flowers in upstate New York, you are naturally set up to market in this way because it's true. You only have spring flowers for a month in May. You only have peonies for a few weeks in June. Like you only have dahlias for the, summer through fall. So use that to your advantage because people really don't understand the seasonality of flowers. In general, people just don't understand seasonality because, you can get tomatoes in January, and that's a really amazing feature of this world that we live in. However, it's made a lot of people forget about seasonality. So remind them that fresh flowers are, specific kinds are only in season for a short time. Clean, tidy display, and then very clear, attractive signage and pricing. I know Laura mentioned this before, but I think I have a better picture here. Yeah, you can see in this picture here, I have that chalkboard sign, ranunculus, $25. People don't want to ask how much something costs. It just makes it awkward. It's a little bit unapproachable. $25 for a bunch of flowers is really expensive. Not everyone wants to spend that. And it's definitely embarrassing. Like I would be embarrassed if I was like, oh my gosh, how much are those? Oh, $25. I can't afford that. Sorry. Like just put clear pricing out there. Moving on to leverage. One of the best reasons to attend a farmer's market is because you can use it to spread the word about your business and market other sales outlets in other parts of your business. For example, we market our CSA, weddings, workshops, other things that we do at the farmer's market, and we have gotten so much business from it. We've gotten so many CSA customers and booked a lot of weddings just from being at the farmer's market and people asking us. And we just have, little promotional cards or flyers that we leave out and people ask us about it, but it's really great. Word of mouth is vital. So you're going to see a lot of people from your community pass through the farmer's market. When they learn about you, they're going to tell other people. You can't grow your business living in a hole and never leaving your farm. I mean, maybe you can with social media these days, but I really believe that in person, meeting people and word of mouth is really vital still. It's great because you can also network and connect with other vendors. So you can collaborate with other vendors. If you want to have a flower CSA and there's other veggie CSA farmers at your market, maybe you can make friends with them and have them add on your flower CSA to their veggie one. Or for example, you can nurture relationships within the community with other small business owners. We had a person who owned a wine bar come to the farmer's market every Sunday. She loved our flowers. And over time, we kind of became friends. And now we have a CSA pickup location at her wine bar. So things like that can happen really naturally when you put yourself out there and show up consistently to a farmer's market. So do you guys have any questions before I move on? I have a couple of other resources I'm going to share with you, but before we move on to that, does anybody have any questions about stuff I have talked about? Well, if you guys have any, feel free to pop your question in the chat box. I just wanted to throw out a couple of resources. I mentioned before that ASCFG, the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers, it is an international cut flower association that is education-based and also research-based. And I am the Northeast Regional Director right now. So if you guys have questions about joining the association, it has been totally invaluable for me growing my business. I've learned so much. I've connected with so many other growers. If you have questions about joining, just let me know. I also have an offer that I think they let me give you like $50 off the first year when you sign up. And I need to get like the promo code or whatever it is. But if you guys want that, just shoot me an email and I can probably hook you up with that. So ASCFG, or the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers. It's a really long, horrible name to remember, but a great association. On
They have an amazing publication that they put out quarterly called the Cut Flower Quarterly that tells you about all the new varieties, growing tips. It's very science-based, really, really fascinating stuff. I look forward to it every quarter.
Yes, they have that, like Carla said, a really great magazine with just invaluable information in it. If you're new to the cut flower like industry, and if things like pricing or marketing, really anything, anything at all, honestly, is kind of catching you off guard, or you don't know that much about it, just reading that quarterly magazine will really immerse you into the industry and help you learn a lot in a really short amount of time. So great one. But we also, on my website, I do a lot of education, a ton of free stuff. On my email list, almost every single week, I've been sending out free articles, free resources on cut flowers and cut flower businesses. So a lot of that free information can be found on our blog. It's just trademarksflowers.com/blog. We also are doing a workshop this summer, like Carla mentioned. It's called the Six-Figure Farming Workshop, Flower Farming Workshop. And basically it is a 2-day workshop on our farm in Clifton Springs, where you are going to get to meet other growers. We're going to develop a blueprint for you to grow your farm to that 6-figure mark, because that's like something that everyone always talks about doing. And it's kind of fun because we go over all the ways you can do that. We're going to do hands-on growing. So basically learning how to use certain hand tools and irrigation and seeding. You'll get to tour our place, see everything there. It's going to be really awesome. So that is happening in July, but you can go to our website and find out more about that. And then here is my information, and I'm going to, looks like there's some other questions that have come up. So I'm just going to leave this on the screen in case you guys want to get a hold of me while I answer some of these other questions. Let's see. Jess asked, do you add tax onto a bouquet or just charge $20 and take tax off it to submit? So that's a great question. And we have done it both ways. In the past, we included sales tax within our price, and we don't do that anymore. So we add tax on afterwards. So if you say a bouquet is $20, when we charge, we put on the additional sales tax on top of that, which is what most businesses do. And I actually recommend that you do that. When you include sales tax in your price, it makes your product look more expensive. And it's not like, that's not money going to your pocket. You're just collecting it for the state of New York. So I highly recommend setting your base price, and then when somebody purchases, you add on the sales tax on top of that. And then when selling market bouquets wrapped in paper, do you have a method for keeping them fresh and in water for transport once purchased by a customer? That's a great question as well. So when all of our bouquets are wrapped in either craft paper or clear plastic sleeves, so everything gets sleeved. And I guess I should have talked about this more, so maybe I'll dive into it a little bit right now. But everything at a farmer's market will probably have to be in a sleeve of some kind, because people are not very gentle with your flowers. You don't want the stems getting tangled with each other. You know, people are grabbing stuff out of buckets and shoving it back in there. And having a sleeve around your flowers is going to protect them, A, and B, it's also going to make you look very professional. I mean, have you ever gone to the grocery store and seen a bouquet or a bunch of flowers not wrapped in the sleeve? Like, it's the best way to do it. So everything gets sleeved before we go to the farmer's market, and then everything is in a bucket of water. We have standard buckets that we use. They're all 2-gallon floral buckets, so they're all black. They all get filled with fresh water and either depending on the kind of flower, if they have any post-harvest preservative, that's in there as well. And we always make sure that those buckets are filled with water appropriately, so no flowers run out of water during that time. When we transport them, their flowers are in the bucket, so we take the flowers and we sleeve them on Friday or Saturday. We put them in the buckets they're going to be transported in, and all of those buckets go into our flower cooler. The morning of the market, we take all the buckets out of the flower cooler, put them in our van, we drive them to the market, then they get taken out and set on the tables. We used to use galvanized maple syrup buckets, sort of like sleeved on the outside of our cut flower buckets, just to make it look like we were using fancier buckets, but it got to be kind of an issue with keeping things organized, and we don't have enough space to do that. So we need as much space as possible because we bring in a lot of flowers. So we stopped doing that. Joanne asks, what do you use to supply water to send flowers home with customers? So we don't do anything. All of our customers, they buy the flowers, they take them out of the bucket, and they go home with them. We offer all of our customers to hold their flowers until they're done shopping. So we have buckets set behind our farmers market booth in the shade that when somebody buys a bouquet of flowers, we ask them, are you going to be shopping for a while? Because we can hold that for you. You don't want to leave it out of water. And a lot of times people just kind of come to us at the end of their shopping and grab flowers on the way out. We've done a lot of education to tell them, like, don't leave your flowers out of water. They will wilt and die. So we don't send anything home with them unless they specifically tell us that they are traveling a very long distance. And in that case, we use hydration wraps. So the brand, I'm trying to remember the brand that we use, and it's escaping me. I'll try to think of it, but we buy online these little floral hydration wraps. They look like just like little padded, like thick paper towels, and you soak them in water and you just wrap them around the bottom of the stems and put them in a drip sleeve. And so for people who are traveling long distances, we'll do that for them, but in general, we don't. On that same note, it is really, really important at a farmer's market to keep flowers hydrated and out of the sun. So you need to be using any kind of shade, like we have a shade cloth that goes on our canopy. It goes in the back and the sides, so we're blocking sunlight, and all of our flowers are in the shade at all times. You do not want your flowers sitting out in the sun. They will wilt, and nobody's going to buy your wilty flowers, or if they do, they're going to complain. So that can be a major challenge at a farmer's market. And it's a challenge for everybody there. It's not just for flowers, like produce as well. So having a mister on hand, a little spray bottle helps, but keeping things straight out of the cooler in the morning so the water is nice and cold and the flowers are nice and cold, and then keeping stuff in the shade. My advice to you is to not even, like, don't even grow stuff that's prone to wilting, like no cinnaglossum, no ceranth. I'm trying to think of some other ones, but we've stopped growing all of them because they're so prone to wilting. Nobody wants to look at or buy wilted flowers, so just don't even grow it. Another thing I would suggest that you not do is no glass or vases. The only time that we sell actual arrangements in vases, and even then we do mostly ceramic and not glass because they're less prone to breaking. The only time that we sell stuff in vessels or containers is Mother's Day, because it's a special occasion. It's our biggest sales day of the year. Otherwise, we tried to sell things in like mason jars before, but when you get a windy day, the wind is going to knock over all of your glasses, no matter how full you put water in them, and it's going to break, and broken glass is a hazard. The market does not want broken glass there. People don't want their dogs or their kids to step in broken glass. So my advice is just to not do it. Like I said before, like we only sell bunches and bouquets. So did that answer everybody's questions? If you guys have questions about like transporting flowers or you know, where to buy sleeves or anything like that, let me know.
Could you maybe talk about like your process to getting to the market? How much before the time you go there that you're prepping and getting everything loaded up? I think people really underestimate how much time it takes to load up and go to a farmer's market.
Yes, that's actually a great That's great, Carla. So I'll go over that now. It's so funny. I like didn't even think about these things because it's become like second nature to me. But yeah, it does take a lot of time. So basically our farmers market preparation basically begins on Fridays. So our farmers market is on Sundays. And if our farmers market was on a Saturday, would be better, but we all take Saturdays off on the farm. So it's not ideal to hold flowers over a day, but we have a really good flower cooler. So anyways, we harvest all week, and a lot of times we'll have a few extra bouquets of leftover flowers on Wednesday that, depending on what they are, like if it's our ranunculus lasts for like 3 weeks. So if we harvest ranunculus on Wednesday, we'll send them to the farmers market that weekend. Zinnias, we would never do that. We always harvest zinnias fresh on Friday morning. So Friday morning, we do all of our harvesting, and we harvest until we run out of time. So basically 11 o'clock in the morning. All of our flowers go into the flower cooler to get conditioned for a couple of hours while we're getting other things kind of prepared and ready. We're getting our flower sleeves out, getting pricing set, getting our mixed bouquet recipes, making sure those are all, like, we got everything we needed for that. Speaking of mixed bouquet recipes, remind me, I can come back to that afterwards. But so then after that's done, we spend all afternoon on Friday sleeving all of the bunches and making mixed bouquets. We don't do a lot of mixed bouquets because I don't find them to be as profitable as just selling straight bunches. So we do all premium mixed bouquets, but it does take quite some time to put them together. If I'm making them, I'm making a mixed bouquet in 60 seconds or less, usually 45 seconds or less, and I'm cranking through them so I can make a profit. We add on extra money to basically allocate towards the labor of making those mixed bouquets to make sure they're paying for themselves. My employees are a little bit slower than me. No one's ever going to be as fast as you, and that's totally okay. But they're making bouquets at like 1.5 to 2 minutes a bouquet. So it takes us all afternoon until about 3 to 3:30 to get everything sleeved and bunched for the farmers market. And then usually about a half an hour of cleanup. So until 4 o'clock. As we sleeve all of those flowers, whether they're bunches or bouquets, they get put straight back into our flower cooler, which depending on the time of year is set at different temperatures, but in general, it's usually around 35 to 37 degrees, depending on the time of year and the type of flowers. But all the flowers stay in the flower cooler until Sunday morning, where at 7 o'clock in the morning, we take everything out and load it into the van. Then we drive to the farmers market, which is about 40 minutes away from us. So we unload from about 8 o'clock till 9. Well, usually we're set up by like 8:45. The farmers market starts at 9. It goes until 1. Then we break everything down. Can take anywhere from like 15 minutes to a half an hour, depending on the kind of day we had and how chatty our neighbors want to be with us, or if there's any like last minute shoppers hanging around chatting. So then we drive back to the farm, unload everything, clean everything up, do our records for the day. We keep track of all of our sales, which I should have talked about that as well. I'm thinking about all these things now afterwards, but and then usually the day ends around 3 o'clock. So you're looking at 2 full days of preparation for the, preparation, and then selling at the farmer's market.
Do you ever barter with your fellow vendors?
We do sometimes, yes. So it kind of depends on who it is and what we're looking for, but usually at the very end of the market, if we have any bouquets left over, which we usually don't have a lot of times we sell straight out. We try to bring more than that so we don't sell out, but if we have leftover stuff, we'll usually go and ask a few people if they want to bring flowers home for their wife or whoever, and trade for some produce, which is really nice. How far would be too far to attend a market? I would say that's totally up to you. It really depends. If at all possible, when you were, I know this isn't really like an option for people, but if you were to like buy a farm, I would buy one that's within a half an hour of a major city. That's generally where the best markets are going to be. If you think about the best, farmers markets in the world, they're in Boston and New York City and LA and Houston and Austin, Texas, So we travel about 35-40 minutes to our farmers market, and I wouldn't drive farther than 45 minutes unless I knew I was going to make like more than $2,500 or $3,000 a week. But it's really personal preference. Like I wouldn't drive 45 minutes to make like $100. You wouldn't make it, you're never going to make a profit. So I'd say that's personal preference, but a lot of farmers in the Hudson, New York area, they're driving like 3 hours to New York City every week, and they're making like probably $5,000 or more a weekend. So it really depends. Let's see. Miranda asked, do you have a suggestion for a baseline you need to make it worth attending a market? So that's a really hard question to answer because it really depends on your goals. Like are you somebody who just wants to like make a little extra cash and this is just a side hustle, like a thing you like doing, then maybe making, $300 to $500 would be worth it to you. For me, I have like a full-blown business. This is my full-time gig and I have multiple employees that I have to support, and I pay a lot of different insurances and a lot of expenses. So it wouldn't be worth it for me to go to a market just to make like $500. I would say that it's going to take time as well. Like my first year at a farmer's market, I made probably like a third of what I'm making now. And every single year, our revenue increases at our farmers market by probably, I don't even know, like 25 to 30%. So you have to understand that when you start out, you're not going to be making as much money as somebody who's been doing it for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. But it's really personal preference. So it's up to you. It's really important to understand that it costs a lot of money to attend a farmer's market, which is why you should be selling everything at a retail price and as much money as you can get for it. Because even if you're the only person doing the work, you're spending at least 2 full days of your time just dedicated to farmers market prep and selling. And that doesn't even include all the time that you spend growing and taking care of that product. You also have to pay for electricity for your flower cooler and all the water and utilities that goes to your farm, all of your operating expenses, your fixed overhead costs, like your insurance and your mortgage. And there's just all your growing supplies. There's so much money. If you're going to a farmer's market, you're transporting it in a vehicle. Vehicles are not cheap. They cost a lot of money just to buy, to maintain. You have to pay for gas, all of your tables and your buckets and your canopy and your signage and your decorations. Those all cost money. So if you guys are interested in learning more about how to figure out if you're actually making a profit or not, I did give a talk that Carla mentioned before about enterprise budgeting and figuring out, profit planning if you're making a profit. So she'll have that talk up sometime. And then on our website, on our blog, we have free guides I've written out on exactly how to make this happen. We are actually going to go through it step by step at our 6-figure flower farming workshop in July, if you want to come to that. So there's a lot that you have to consider, but there are step-by-step processes that you can use for your own personal business to figure out whether it's worth it to you or not. Okay, so that was a really long-winded answer to your question. So another thing that I just thought of, speaking of expenses with farmers markets, and I think Laura may have mentioned this, but most of them require that you have general liability insurance. Usually it's a minimum of $1 million in coverage, and every farmer's market is different. But your sales have to cover those costs and make you a profit. So these are all things to consider when you are, setting your prices and when you're attending a farmer's market. Okay, so do we have any other questions? If not, again, my name is Jenny Marks from Trademarks Flower Farm. We're on social media, Instagram specifically. I don't really do a lot with Facebook. I probably should, but we do quite a bit on Instagram, and that's Trademarks Flower Farm. If you guys have questions or if you're looking for any of the specific resources I mentioned, you can send me an email at hello@trademarksflowers.com, our website, trademarksflowers.com. And like I said, we have lots of free information on there. Right now, we have a free workshop. If you sign up for our email list, if you go to my website and click on Learn, a little pop-up box will come up and you can sign up for a free workshop. It's a 3-part series. It gets sent right to your inbox about basically starting a profitable cut flower farm. And there's other free guides and resources in there as well. We're doing our workshop this summer that I highly recommend you attend if you want to make a living or at least make a big profit selling cut flowers. And again, we're in Clifton Springs, New York, which is in the Finger Lakes region, but we're closest to Rochester. So you guys can find out more about me or anything from there. So Jenny said, I follow you on Instagram and Facebook, learn so much from you. Greatly appreciate it. Oh, thanks, Jenny. Yeah, if you think of it, go to our website and sign up for that free workshop that we have running right now. And let me know what you think about it, because I'd love to get some feedback about if it's helpful or not for folks. So,
And you also sell dahlia tubers, right?
Yes, we just had our big dahlia tuber sale and we are pretty much sold out of everything.
Hey, good for you.
Yeah, it's great. We the dahlia tuber craze, dahlias are a thing right now, a trendy thing. But we do have some, like a very few amount of singular tubers left, and we have quite a few bulk bags of tubers left. So some popular varieties if you guys need dahlia tubers.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Jenny, thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for having me. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you learned something. Let me know if you have any other questions in the future. And thank you, Carla, for having me.
Wonderful. Well, look forward to announcements from you coming up in the spring and summer, and it's going to be a good season.
Yes, thank you.
All right, folks. Well, have a great afternoon, and we hope to see you back next week.